Hello, Elwood City Limits listener on YouTube. Yeah, this is a YouTube exclusive. It's Will here, and this has been something that I've been looking to do once we upload every piece of content to the Elwood City Limits YouTube. Now, of course, there is still stuff available on our Patreon. If you are a subscriber or if you look through our channel, you will, of course, see that there are previews for Patreon content that, you will have to go behind the paywall to check out, like our movie reviews and the full versions of most of our episodes of For the Kids, a PBS Kids podcast. But we are very grateful to those of you who have subscribed to our YouTube channel and who have been giving us the likes. So I wanted to do something a little special for our final YouTube upload. Now, of course, we will be uploading the new episodes onto YouTube and the new previews and all that stuff. That'll be going to YouTube now. But one final YouTube backlog upload, and that is a supercut of our 3 ECL Extra Collections. Now, these were episodes that we would do from time to time before we had the Patreon and during when we did have the early days of the Patreon. Sometimes we would have to miss a week, either because one of us was sick or because one of us was busy that day or whatever. We would just miss a week. So I came up with a way to put something out on those off weeks, and in those 3 instances, that was the ECL Extra Collection. Now, this also happened because when we were recording in the same space, physically in the same space, Lucas and I were recording from the radio station we were working at, we would leave the mics on early because we would have to go into a separate room to start the program, so the mics would be on, and then we'd kind of warm up a little bit. We'd talk about different stuff that didn't make it into the show, stuff that didn't really relate back to what we were talking about, and in some cases we used a little bit of salty language. So that is this. We are talking about all kinds of different crap, lots of bloopers in here as well, and little audio didn't fit in anywhere trinkets, I guess you could say. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this. It's a little bit looser and free form. Hope it makes you laugh, and we want to say thank you very much for subscribing to us. If you're not subscribed to us yet, please do. Just click the subscribe button. You can ring the bell if you want to. We're not really YouTubers or anything like that. So do what you like, but please consider subscribing. And we hope that you enjoy the 3 ECL Extra Collections. I might put a little bit of an annotation in the description. We will see. But for now, please to enjoy. And thank you very much for making the ECL YouTube a success. Support for Elwood City Limits is made possible by Facebook,
Facebook.com/Elwood City Limits.
Twitter,
@ECL Podcast.
email,
ElwoodCityLimits@gmail.com.
and by subscribing on iTunes and following us on SoundCloud. Thank you.
And my free time. Well, I didn't see you there, boys and girls. Gather round the fireplace, for I have a Christmas tale for you. Once there was 2 young men named Will and Lucas who both loved talking into microphones. Well, one day, Will and Lucas realized they'd put their talents to good use and talk about a 90s cartoon that they both seemed to enjoy. Well, here's the thing, little girls and boys, is that before they started talking about this 90s cartoon, Lucas and Will would get off topic from time to time. Well, a Christmas present from me to you is some of these lovely tales from Christmas past.
I can't do better than that.
I had a lot of time to think about this today.
Yeah, man.
How I was going to introduce the Christmas special.
Wow, that went places. I mean, he's not wrong, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Elwood City Limits, and it's our special episode, ECL Extra number 1. My name is Will Young, and that's Lucas Mancini spinning you a yarn.
That's right, by the fire. A Yule log.
A Yule log for your mind.
Right.
One time for your mind, as the Rascals
I'm very excited for Christmas. Are you excited for Christmas, Will?
Absolutely. I live in a permanent state of excitement for Christmas now that I work at a radio station. So
You're channeling your inner Mick Foley.
Sure, absolutely. Although not to that degree. Well, let's get right down to it. Coming up, you're going to be listening to just a couple of random audio snippets because before, as Lucas said, we sit down to record an episode of Elwood City Limits, we tend to get to talking about this, that, and everything in between. I just want to just make a quick comment here for any of our younger listeners that there will be a bit of harsh language, nothing too pervasive or anything like that, but some. A little bit of a salty language and maybe a sexual situation or two.
Oh no!
Yeah, that's making its way back in. These are lost bits from previous episodes. These are pre-episode banter and some never before heard audio.
Talk about reindeer games.
Just wanted to see how long you'd go with that. So please enjoy ECL Extra number 1, and we'll be back with you once we're done for a little something else.
Before you go, Will, top 4 Christmas movies on the spot. I'm putting you on the spot.
Okay, so in no particular order, I'm going to say Die Hard.
Yep.
Jingle All the Way.
Ooh, a good choice.
What was the one? No, no, that's not really technically a movie.
Well, I'm very curious to hear what that was.
Well, it did win an Academy Award. It's an animated version of A Christmas Carol.
Oh, okay.
That was re-released in the theater, so it could be eligible for an Academy Award in the 1970s. But I won't count that.
Okay.
I'll say, what was the one no, actually not that one. Not Love Actually. That's a really bad movie that I just got snookered into.
It's on my list of top 4. I like Love Actually.
God said I get snookered into watching that every year, just as I snookered back with Jingle All the Way, so I won't count that either.
I like Love Actually.
It's that's fine. It's just a really, really not good movie. Okay. Home Alone.
Oh,
I'm gonna be boring and say Home Alone as I'm boring.
Boring
by saying Die Hard, and I'll go with Rudolph because I watch that every year.
Ooh, Rudolph's good.
How about you?
Die Hard again. It's the obvious choice in 2016, but it really does it puts you in a Christmas spirit. It starts off with that Christmas music. There's that part where he's like, "Thank you, FBI," and that song's playing in the background. So I do like Die Hard. Gremlins. I like Gremlins 2 more as a movie, but Gremlins 1 takes place at Christmas.
I haven't seen either of them enough. I've only seen Gremlins once, so it's not up there, but I remember really enjoying it last year when I watched it for Christmas.
A recent add to my list is Go from 1999. I watched that the other night. That movie surprised the heck out of me with how good it is.
Okay.
The guy who directed Swingers. It's like a Pulp Fiction ripoff, but it takes place at Christmas at a rave. It's awesome. It's the type of movie they don't make anymore. And then probably, I guess, number 4 would be Love Actually. Or since Will annexed that, I can sub in an even more boring pick, It's a Wonderful Life. So
I've actually never seen It's a Wonderful Life yet.
It's a good movie.
I'm to understand it is. What's your favorite Christmas movie? Let us know, and I'll let you know how to do that later. Okay, so here we go with ECL Extra number 1. Please to enjoy.
Are you ready? Will and Lucas with Elwood City Limits. Ding, ding, ding. Motherfucker.
Bitch. Damn, son.
Where'd you get that?
DJ Premier exclusive.
I just wanted to take a little bit here to talk about their study technique and just how, of course, studying was not something necessarily that I did a whole lot in third grade, maybe for spelling tests. And well, actually, maybe that's about the time that I would have had to start. And I mean, with the kids, it's more just their idea of studying is, pretty much cartoons' idea of studying is, sitting down and reading books. That never really, even through college, sitting down in a place and reading for a long time and trying to memorize stuff, it never really worked for me. And I don't know if I've ever found a studying technique that worked especially well, other than engaging with the material itself over and over again, more than once. And it's interesting to see how eventually they all kind of go back to that, essentially the same form of book studying. And I was wondering if you kind of had a studying technique when you were in school.
It's funny because mine is pretty much Arthur's. I memorize better when I verbalize something. I'll find myself doing that in my day-to-day life now that I don't have to really study anything. I'll be like, okay, I have to pick up milk on the way to work tomorrow morning. And so I'll say that out loud before I go to bed. And that's how I used to study back in school. I would look at the textbook and I'd have to read the thing over and over and over again. And I would also say it out loud. Or I'd remember, like Arthur's song, the AARDVARK, when I had to remember factoids or math equations, make up a little song, a little rhyme, a little bed mass. Any extra detail I could add to retain that information, I would do. The problem is I had a really low attention span. So the only way for me to study would be to brute force it, much like the kids in this show do, where you just read it over and over and over again. But I would find it so mind-numbingly boring as well.
Vocalizing stuff also helps for me, but I would also kind of have the Buster problem. Of if I sat down with a book, then I would just kind of be shifting myself and like my attention, even when I'm reading like now just for fun, like my attention just kind of shifts away from reading. Like I'm too aware of what's going on. So, but that's good. I'm glad that kind of more traditional method worked for you.
Teachers would have to separate us in grade 2 because we'd be making each other laugh so hard. Yeah. So
that actually happened to me.
Some things never change.
That happened with me and my buddy Seamus. Actually, like we would do that in like university when we
was telling you to kiss his arse.
Yeah. And he actually spells it the exact same way. So, like, before he started watching wrestling, I would just, like...
Tell him to kiss your arse?
No, I would congratulate him on his winning the WWE Championship. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm just like, you won! And I was like, oh. That, like, the latest that happened, because it would happen with me and Seamus in, like, high school. That's where we met each other. And then we did, like, basically the same degree path in university. So we had a bunch of classes together, and we would just kind of sit in the back and kind of make each other laugh, like you and Josh. Yeah. And then, like, one time we were doing it, I guess, really loudly in, like, in Dalhousie, there's like it's across the street from their student union building. It's like a newer, I think it's called the McCain building. And they would have these big screening rooms where we would have like our introduction to film class. And we were like seated like right in the back row of this big time auditorium. And we were apparently like busting each other up loud enough that they could hear us down there. And one of the TAs comes right up and like leans down and is just like, we can hear you down there. Stop. And
I thought you guys were
and it's like, I'm just like, really sorry.
I thought the story was going to go like you guys were in the introduction to film class, and so you're at the back of the theater like riffing on, I don't know, some Jean-Luc Godard film.
Oh, totally.
Like MST3K through, but like through the things you'd watch in a film class, like, oh, we're going to sit here and make fun of the Seventh Seal. Like,
well, no, but we totally do that though, and like we'd always go to like. We'd go to Superstore because there would be like screenings on Tuesdays. So we would go to Superstore and just get a bunch of food. And we had a buddy who like, because I don't think you're supposed to bring food in there. And we had a buddy who was kind of working out front the like security for that evening. So it would just be like, hey, what's up? And just like kind of smuggle it in. So and it got, like, and it got
in my mind, the situation gets so much funnier when you think about it in terms of like the films you'd watch in a film studies class. Like, oh, we're gonna like eat a bunch of red vines during Rashomon, or like I don't know, Rafifi, or
just eating a whole bowl of Nutri-Grain bars, a whole box of Nutri-Grain bars during last year at Marienbad, because that movie sucks. And we like those, and there were those ones that would just be like, Jesus Christ, this is so boring. Like, yeah, there was a time I brought an entire box of Cap'n Crunch, like, and I.
Nothing.
You know, the things I did when I was foolish and 19 was bring a box of Cap'n Crunch to a film screening and just eat it.
Nothing makes Yojimbo exciting like Cap'n Crunch.
I think it. What was the Kurosawa? Oh, it was Throne of Blood. Throne of Blood was the one we watched.
I haven't seen that one.
Throne of Blood's so good, and like
spoilers. Every Kurosawa movie is so good.
Right. And it's like I haven't seen a bunch of the other ones like Yojimbo or Rashomon or Yujiro, but I've seen Throne of Blood a couple of times, and I watched The Seven Samurai once, and that's like it's a really long movie.
All right, we should probably get going soon, but before we get going, one little tidbit about your Seven Samurai.
Yeah.
The crazy thing about that fucking movie is the parts where people get hit with arrows. They were real arrows, and they had a block of wood under their shirts. Mm-hmm. So the dudes would shoot actual arrows at them, and it would just hit the block of wood.
Yeah, it's the same thing in Throne of Blood, because at the very end, like it's the story of Macbeth basically, and Toshiro Mifune is playing the lead role, and then at the very end, like, his castle gets invaded, and he's being like met with a hail of arrows as he like runs down hallways, and they like will hit the wall in front of him. But the thing is that like they didn't do the wooden block. Well, they may have for when he gets hit, but they would fire actual arrows at him, and he just had to like trust that they wouldn't hit him. And it's like you can just see him. He's just like, ugh! Like he's fucking freaking out. Alrighty. I also, I mean, I do want to stick by the kind of no/soft swearing rule, but I did really bust up in the first episode. Like, I hated to censor your real trap shit line. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, no.
That was busting me up.
I try to keep the wrestling references to the minimum, especially the more obscure they get. But there's two fairly obscure ones I gotta make. And there's one moment in each episode that deserves a really old. Anyway, we'll get to it.
If you make them, you make them. It's all good.
Iconic character. I actually thought of the. I was thinking about it. It's too late, but Parappa the Rappa would be a solid Halloween costume because all you have to do is put a little bit of a dab of black on your nose, tape 2 leather ears, and buy the hat, and there you go. You're Parappa the Rappa.
Yeah, no, that's actually a pretty good idea.
Solid nostalgia play.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, no, I was just I was even worse at it, but it was I was gonna say my favorite stage, but the only stage in the game that I'm familiar with because I played the demo at my buddy's house and just like this is the only one I know.
It's a hot song. I was humming it all week.
Sure.
But it's all in the mind. I kind of miss that era of video games where Japanese game development was so vibrant and thriving that like there was just so much like off-center weird stuff coming out of Japan at such a high rate. Like all those games like Choo Choo Rocket. That occupies the same space in my head as Parappa the Rappa.
What's the one with the bunny that's like it's all made out of like white lines and it's also like a rhythm game?
Vib Ribbon.
Vib Ribbon. That's
I
it.
have the Vib Ribbon soundtrack on my iPod. It's the only torrent I'm still seeding to this day because I'm like, if anybody else wants to get the Vib Ribbon soundtrack, I'm gonna help them out. Because I was like, I wonder if there's a torrent of this. It's so weird. Because the way Vib Ribbon would work is if you put a CD in,
it would play the CD.
It would play a song. But there was like 5 songs that were included with the game that was originally made for the game. And the songs are bizarre to listen to out of the context of the game because to make the song a fun level to play, the beats per minute change mid-song. And so the song, like... its melody keeps slowing down and speeding up, so it makes for a bizarre listening experience.
It's like super prog or something.
Yeah, it's some math rock. Back at it again at the Krispy Kreme.
I was just saying that today. Like before I got here, I said back at it again. Like, back at it again at Krispy Kreme.
It's the greatest vine of all time. I would say
it's in the conversation.
I don't know. It's definitely top 3.
I don't know. There's a lot of. The problem is there's so many good ones that it would be really tough.
I feel like
I wish I still had my Vine profile only because of the archived likes on there.
Yeah,
so I could find them. You know, they're impossible to find now. The one of the chicken doll falling off the roof gets me every time.
I thought you were talking about the one where there's a little girl and she's like, it's like this little girl and she's like in front of a bunch of seagulls or pigeons or something, and she goes, "Look at all these chickens."
There's so many. That would be a tough job, but I'd be willing to do it. Is like
top 100 vines.
Yeah.
Where does Peanut Butter Baby fall? Come on, you don't tell me you've never seen the Peanut Butter Baby.
I may have, but I don't recognize it.
It's like a baby, and he's completely covered with peanut butter. Like, he got into the peanut butter, and it's this kind of, like, weird, like, he's, like, too big for a baby. Like, he's, like, a kind of a weird-looking baby. And the mom comes up to him, and he goes, "Does it feel good?" And the baby looks at the camera, and with, like, a grown man's voice goes, "And kind of, like, slaps himself. And he's got peanut butter all over himself. He goes, "Yeah, does it feel good?" My girlfriend hates it.
I don't know if I've seen that one before.
She goes every time she sees it, she goes, "I hate that baby."
What was the one I was just thinking of? Oh, and like this is. I don't think this is exclusively a Vine because it's on a YouTube playlist that I have saved. But just the right. So here's how it is. Oh fuck! I can't believe you've done this. I don't know if that's in the top 100, but that's just the one I thought of right now.
Definitely not in the top 100, but a personal one after my own heart is the Peepus Room, where he's like, it's like a guy, and he's like looking around, and he's like, "Where's all the Peepus?" And then he's in this room with like a mirror, and there's just a sign that says Peepus Room, and he goes, "Oh!"
I'd really have to see that one. I gotta definitely put one from there on. You know what would be in my top 100 is, so I don't know how into Vine you got. Like, if I said Kopke 613, do you know who I mean?
I'm not familiar with like specific people.
Okay. Did you ever see one of like a stereotypical guy with a Canadian accent?
Oh,
that guy.
Yeah.
And just one of my favorites is just like, the indigenous species of Canada, you really have to respect them, and you have to treat them with a certain amount of respect. And it's just the next shot is him next to a goose. He just blows an air horn in his face. Get fucked.
Air horns are always like a ripe source of comedy.
And hey, no better audio than describing vines.
Oh yeah, that's great radio.
Yeah.
At least even you have limits. I'm assuming you didn't see TMNT 2. Oh,
not 2. No.
Okay, you were scaring me for a second. I was gonna be like, yeah, for opening night, I had to see Seamus in his role as Bebop. Was he Rocksteady?
I don't have to see anything with the teenage.
Bebop or Rocksteady?
Yo,
but Krang's in this one.
He's Rocksteady.
Krang was in it.
But I don't have any love for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in general. Like, this show is fine. It's just like it wasn't The Wire or something.
Yeah, but Raphael's cool but rude.
Yeah, but he's also one of 4 primary colors. Like, fucking.
I don't know if purple's a primary color.
Oh, shut up.
Neither's orange.
You're right.
Now that I think about it.
Okay, fine. You're right, smart guy. 2 primary colors and 2 mixed.
Donatello was the best one because in the video games,
I agree.
You should always pick him
because he's got the range.
He's got the long staff, exactly. But Raphael's cool but rude, and that second movie has that Vanilla Ice song.
Give me a break. Alrighty.
I was having a day like everybody else, but then, as I'm one to do when I have downtime, I was looking at Twitter, and I saw this GIF of Mr. Peanut in the Macy's parade hitting the dab, and all problems faded away like teardrops in the rain. I was like, everything's gonna be okay, because it's not just Mr. Peanut hitting the dab like that Squidward mascot from years ago.
Right.
Mr. Peanut hits a dab, walks a step forward, hits another dab, and then finishes off with a mini dab.
Wow.
So, Mr. Peanut 2020, make peanuts great again. There's like 23 Westworld podcasts.
I saw that.
Their show's got like 6 episodes.
Did you see it in the recommends for our pod? Like, I was looking at, if you like this podcast, we recommend this, and it was like Westworld.
No, I didn't. That's hilarious, because I was seeing memes about people making fun of how there was like 2 episodes of Westworld at that point,
right?
And there was like 23 Westworld podcasts. And it's like I like Westworld. Yeah. I do. I've only seen 1 episode of it thus far, but I
haven't seen any.
It's so that type of like pop culture thing where it's like, there's so many mysteries. We're gonna talk about it. We're 3 white dudes, and we're gonna talk about our hot Westworld takes.
That sounds like a thing that exists. She takes him out on a leash into the yard while Arthur's making like whiny dog noises, and just leaves him outside because that's what Pal understands punishment to be.
It's a tad psychosexual, eh? Just a little bit. No? It's a little bit of dog play, you know what I'm saying?
No, dude, no, I really, no.
You know those people who went to high school with you who were like, I don't know about you, but there was like these goth people at my high school that would walk around and like one of them was on a leash and the other one would like hold them on a leash. Listen, I'm not endorsing this whatsoever. The face you're making right now is the face I would always make when I saw them in the hallway. I'm just highlighting that they existed.
Listen, not to trample on you here, but I'm probably gonna delete that out. This is not where I want the podcast to go. Yeesh. Okay. We'll see. Maybe I'll put it at the end. Hello, Hello, and welcome to Elwood City Limits. It's the Episodic Arthur podcast. Thank you very much for listening. I just realized I don't remember what number episode this is.
I had forgotten, too, when I was looking up what episode we needed to watch this week. So when I was looking at the Wikipedia article, I was like, okay, saw that one, saw that one, saw that one, saw that one.
So maybe it's 5, maybe 4.
It's 5 or 6.
5 or 6. I'm going to say 5. I think 5 sounds pretty good.
That does sound right.
My name is Will Young, and I am your host, and joining me is your other host, Mr. Lucas Mancini.
Hello.
So today we're going to be talking about, of course, another Arthur episode, Go Figure, and that episode being... I didn't write down the episode. Okay, no, wait. I can do this. It is Arthur's Pet Business and DW the Copycat?
Uh-oh. We might have watched different episodes this week.
Oh, no. What did you watch?
I watched Arthur Goes to Camp and Buster Makes the Grade.
Oh, man. We totally did.
Oh, jeez. Yikes. Okay. Okay. Since you have time. Okay. There's two options here. This is what happens when we forget the episode number. And I was trying to be all clever and be like, I'm going to message Will and ask him what's the next episode. And then I'm going to go, I do that every time. I'll just figure it out myself. No.
No, you know what? This is... I've been compiling audio extras, just to have. So this is definitely going to be one of them.
All right. Well, there's two options. We could just do this again like tomorrow or some other time.
Yeah.
Or I could watch the episode right now and we could record right afterwards. But I know I have to get out of here eventually. And
it's been a long day for you,
Yeah.
and also I would rather you have like a little bit of time to sit with it. So I think we should just kind of do this again. But now you have your notes done for that episode.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Which is good things ahead. I'm excited for you to see those two because I like those two.
Yeah, and I have a lot of things to say about this. Still do. So,
Damn. That's a little disappointing, but
yeah. Well, whatever. It's it's all good, and frankly, I'll be able to get to bed much earlier than I thought. So that's not a bad thing.
It's episode 5.5.
So for episode whatever number this is,
5.5. It's a little Easter egg
for this mess. I'm Will Young.
I'm Lucas Mancini. I don't have a quote to say this time. Is there a quote you remember from the? Here, all right. I'll say one from. I'll say one from mine, and you say one from yours at the same time. Give a little teaser.
Wait. Okay, I'm just going through mine right now.
And we'll maybe 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, just hang on. Because there's a lot. So like for the upcoming episode, which chronologically I believe is mine, which is Arthur's Pet Business and DW the Copycat. There's a lot of really great. Okay, so I got mine.
Okay, and 3, 2, 1.
This is America, Arthur. Everyone deserves an equal chance.
The second time around, or the third. Bye, everybody.
Bye. You know what? That was almost bound to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Next time I'll message you to be super certain. I'm not sure if I just really didn't look at the Wikipedia article.
All right, so there you have it. Some lost audio in there. It's us talking about Vine. Vine was in there. The lost bit about certain sexual situations, which I kind of thought was a bit too racy for the all ages podcast we're trying to run here.
Sorry, Will, I'm out of breath from unwrapping all these presents that you've just given me in the form of great bloopers.
Well, it's funny that you say presents, Lucas, because of course we are here at Christmas time. This is being recorded just 3 days before Christmas, and this will be coming out as our Christmas present to you. And I actually have a little something for our stalwart co-host.
No.
So
I didn't get you anything. This is so awkward.
It's quite all right. In fact, it's like our podcast, it is Arthur related. So Lucas, Merry Christmas. I got you the baby hardcover of Arthur Babysits by Mark Brown.
I can see in the corner here, watch the Arthur TV show on PBS, already on it. This is the one with the human Tibble twins. It's kind of macabre. Nice thick pages, some sort of cardboard stock, so I don't break it.
So, because of course a baby can't cut itself.
Or myself. Some great original Mark Brown art in here. Only $7.95 in Canada. You know those are some 90s prices.
That's right.
This will run you a cold 30 in 2016.
I don't know about that. But yeah, I hope you enjoy. And of course, just found that in the wild, figured you'd like it. And as a way of saying thank you for being my co-host for these under 20 episodes so far.
On the back, it's got some pull quotes. This Publisher's Weekly article, I got to look up this full review because here's the pull quote. Little ones will savor the action-filled pictures depicting the riotous chaos caused by Arthur's charges. Some strange wording here.
That is some English teacher-ass wording right there. My goodness. Yeah, no, it's it's a fun time, and of course, a little piece of history with the human Tibble twins there. So Merry Christmas to you, Lucas. And Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you as well. Whatever it is you celebrate, we hope you have a good one of those. And you know what our holiday wish is? For you to share the podcast and for you to start a dialogue with us. So here's the ways you can do that. Go to facebook.com/ElwoodCityLimits. Like us over there. You can follow us on Twitter at ECL Podcast. We also have a Tumblr, if you are so inclined, elwoodcitylimits.tumblr.com. Finally, we would love to receive some emails in the new year. That is our holiday wish, so please send us some, elwoodcitylimits@gmail.com. And you know it's also a very good present is if you rate and review us on iTunes. And that's just as good as sharing us to a friend that loves Arthur. But this holiday season, when you're gathered around the tree or whatever it is that other people gather around, the menorah or the nothing if you're not a believer.
Festivus pole.
Sure, Festivus pole, that's it. If you're gathered around something and if you're with somebody that you love and you really appreciate the time that you have with them, why don't you just say, hey, Arthur? Well, these two guys, they talk about it and they're some funny. Or these guys are so unfunny that it goes all the way back around to being funny again. Either way, you should totally listen and appreciate what they do. But you know what? We don't do it for the appreciation. We do it because it's fun. But we appreciate the appreciation. So whenever it comes our way. That's my long-winded way of saying thank you for listening in 2016. We will be back in 2017. And we will be starting the year off with a new pair of episodes. It's going to be Meek for a week and Arthur, the world's greatest gleeper.
Ew.
All right. Well, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year from myself, Will Young, and thank you very much for the support that we've gotten in 2016. Hoping 2017 will be an even bigger and better year. Lucas, any final thoughts?
I have a machine gun. Her.
For... Oh, God, what the... for
Hans Gruber.
I was going to say for Lucas Gruber.
R.I.P.
For Lucas Gruber, I'm Will McLean. I wish.
Come out to the coast, have a couple laughs.
Come to the party, have a few laughs. This has been Elwood City Limits ECL Extra number 1. We'll catch you in the new year. All the best, many happy returns. Well, not much of a special introduction this time around, because it's time for us to introduce another special edition of Elwood City Limits. Thank you for joining us once again on this little bit of an off week. My name is Will Young, and Lucas Mancini, I'm on vacation right now.
That's right. When you're listening to this, Will's going to be on island time because he's vacation. All I ever wanted, vacation had to get away. You're going to be somewhere in the Cayman Islands, sitting back, and the listeners will be none the wiser because you have this episode to listen to.
That's absolutely what I'm going to be doing. Yes, that's right. We've got a couple of collections of just our little ramblings here, including a couple of shots from our previous guest, Evan Stoney. You're going to be hearing him once again, talking about all kinds of things. We're talking about rap. We're talking about professional wrestling. We're talking about cartoons. All that good stuff.
I don't remember any of it, so I'll be excited to listen to it myself.
I didn't either until I kind of went back to it. But, of course, after last week's dalliance of an episode. Zabooma dudes getting on the feed. We didn't think it was appropriate to read Arthur-related emails on the Never Before, Never Again episode of Zabooma dudes.
But I want to make that clear with this episode. Disclaimer: this is not a Zaboomafu podcast.
No,
it was April 1st. Hopefully you figured that out yourself. And apologies to anybody else who's like, man, I wish they kept doing Zabooma dudes. If we ever get on Patreon or something, or become a part of the Max Fun Network, that'll be our extra, is another episode of Zabooma dudes.
I will say this: unless we start getting paid for it, Zabooma dudes will never happen again. I'm not going to delete the image file, but it's never happening again. So we just have a couple of emails to go through. Apologies if you emailed us in the last week wondering what the heck was up with Zabooma dudes, but we will get to those emails into next week. Please try not to blow up our spot on the Gmail. So these were received at elwoodcitylimits@gmail.com. We'll go through them just really quickly here. Hey guys, my name is Jen, and I'm currently a freshman in college. Arthur was my lifeblood as a kid. That and Between the Lions.
Oh my goodness. Is that the one where they're librarians?
Yes, and they're like puppets.
Yes, I did watch that one back in the day. It's how I learned the allegory of like the chicken and the chicken feed and the boat. There was an episode of Between the Lines where they talked about there's a riddle where it's like you have a boat and you have a chicken and chicken feed and like a wolf that'll eat the chicken, and it's like you have to get them from point A to point B.
Yeah. Okay.
I learned that from Between the Lines. That's essentially the only thing I remember about that show, though.
I remember that Fire theme song. Come in between the lions.
Oh, I don't even remember that.
Oh, it's really good.
I remember getting confused because the puppets kind of looked like the puppets from the "Don't You Put It in Your Mouth" commercial.
It kind of did, yeah.
So I always wondered if like there was crossover between
maybe
those universes.
In an earlier episode, you mentioned you were allowed to watch Power Rangers. You were allowed to watch Power Rangers as a kid. She might have meant weren't here. Lucas, did you say you weren't allowed to watch Power Rangers?
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to watch Power Rangers.
I definitely was. I had something similar. I wasn't allowed to watch Dragon Ball Z.
I probably wouldn't let, depending on their age, I probably wouldn't let a kid watch Dragon Ball Z.
No. There's once they're kind of into like the 7, 8, 9 range, like it's fine, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
As long as it's like, we're talking like Toonami Dragon Ball Z, not Adult Swim Dragon Ball Z.
Maybe closer to 8 than 7. The more I think about it, there's some
like we're not talking uncut Dragon Ball Z. Like
sure.
I watched the terrible Pioneer dubs from which are like completely bloodless. So
but there are also
I can see their parachutes. They're okay.
There's some let's say comic mischief per se, especially in like Dragon Ball and stuff, that may not be violence based, but just a little bit edgy.
But Dragon Ball also had kind of a sanitized dub for younger kids as well. That's why I never watched it at first. I thought it was just like Well, actually, I've never watched all of Dragon Ball, only a couple of episodes, because I was like, no, I like Dragon Ball Z where they actually fight, but I didn't get it. It was all about the adventure in Dragon Ball. I was a stupid kid. That's why I didn't watch Samurai Jack when I was younger, because I was a stupid kid. Anyway, she's writing to tell us that she's really been enjoying the podcast. Due to some stuff that happened when I was younger, Jen says, I've always struggled with a bit of agoraphobia, so walking to classes or to the store can be a little stressful for me when I'm walking by myself. Your podcast has made the walk a lot less frightening, and I want to thank you for that. Love it when we can help people out like that. She left us a review on the iTunes store. Thank you very much, Jen. We really appreciate that. Hope you guys have a great day.
Oh, my goodness. Well, that just made my day, so thanks, Jen.
Absolutely. We got one here from Hunter. The episode of Arthur that we were talking about recently brought up the subject of emergency substitute teachers. He had a unique story to tell. In 8th grade, he went to his math class, and the teacher wasn't there. So his class assumed that she was running late, but once 10 minutes goes by, we were all scared because 1, we didn't have a teacher, and 2, the security officer who worked at our school walked by our classroom, and we all panicked. Luckily, by 3rd period, we had a substitute teacher.
I thought the old wives' tale was that if your teacher doesn't show up for 10 minutes, you can just leave. Didn't you ever hear that back in the day?
Yes, it always was. And
I also think principals have said the otherwise, like, that is absolutely not true. I don't know where you guys heard that, but...
I don't know either.
I was always operating under the logic that, okay, we got 60 more seconds for this teacher to show up, and I'm out of here.
That's right. P.S. While the Ms. Ratburn Planet of the Apes reference seems to come out of nowhere, like an RKO, I have a theory about it. Buster thinks Ms. Ratburn can't be any worse than Mr. Ratburn, but Ms. Ratburn is worse, indicating false hope. Hunter, we do appreciate the email, but I gotta say the syntax left a little bit to be desired. There was something lost in the translation. I think I see where you're getting from, but it's a little foggy, if you take my meaning.
I think my issue with it, just to be more plain, is that so it's obviously a Planet of the Apes reference. Except the point of the Planet of the Apes scene isn't that the Statue of Liberty is like a different person.
Yeah.
It's that it was Earth all along, and so the apes blew up the Statue of Liberty or something like that. But
you don't know either.
When Buster sees the Statue of Liberty and it's Mr. Ratburn's sister, that makes no sense in the context of like the original seed of Planet of the Apes. Like, is this a planet of the Ratburns? But even that doesn't make any sense because the Statue of Liberty is supposed to be from before there was apes.
I don't know.
The less said about it, the better, I guess.
I think so. This one's from Anna. Hey, guys. Love the podcast, all that kind of stuff. I was amazed there were so many people out there in my age range that still love Arthur as much as I do. But as Tumblr has proven, there's a lot of them out there. Yes, as Tumblr has proven, there's a lot of people out there.
Aw.
No, I don't mean that in a bad way. It's
Yeah.
just like you can find fandoms for like anything.
It's true.
In the episode where you featured Arthur's family vacation, you asked for a car trip story. I have a car trip story featuring your home country of Canada.
Ooh.
Last March, a friend of mine and I drove to Quebec City, never having been to Canada.
Beautiful city. Have you ever been to Quebec City, Will?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Oh, my God. Quebec City's amazing.
Hope they got some bagels. They never having been to Canada and wanting to check it out, and I bet you they call it Quebec, not Quebec.
So I do that sometimes, too. I'm sorry.
It's a QU, so you know what? You're totally fine. We loved it, but for some reason it didn't occur to us that it would be colder in Quebec than it was in our home state of Connecticut. Our first night there, it rained, which wasn't a big deal, until we came outside the next morning and discovered the car's wheels had frozen to the ground. It took a couple hours of us chipping at the ice with a shovel and the help of a friendly delivery man to get us out again. We mostly thought it was funny, though. I have a picture of my friend drinking coffee and pointing and laughing at me while I'm trying to get the car out. Great friends!
It's an awesome story.
That is a cool story. Now for my little Arthur story that I thought you guys might find amusing. I was a huge Arthur fan as a kid, mostly because I didn't have cable, so PBS was where it's at. PBS is where it had to be at.
Hashtag the struggle.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a puzzle depicting a scene from Arthur's birthday, and I remember being 6 or 7 and setting the puzzle out and proudly proclaiming to my grandma that I knew every character's name. I then set about pointing at each character and telling her their name until I came to Fern. I think at this point she hadn't been named in the show yet, so I had no idea what her name was, but I felt like I had to bluff in front of my grandma. So I went, Arthur, Buster, Francine, Doggy Dogface, Muffy. Only a few days later,
I downloaded Doggy Dogface's new mixtape off DatPiff the other day. It's pretty solid.
It's that D-O-double-G-Y. Only a few days later, she was named on the show. To this day, 20 years later, even though I'm sure my grandma has long forgotten this, it still annoys me that I didn't really know every character's name in front of my grandma. Me too. Well, it doesn't annoy me that you didn't know, but that sounds like something that would annoy me too. Love the podcast. Keep up the good work. From Anna.
What could she do? She didn't want her grandma to know she was a liar.
Didn't want to go down like a punk.
Exactly.
And finally, we have one from Hannah. Hey guys, just wanted to write in and share my appreciation for the podcast. Thank you very much. Found it through the Arthur subreddit, and I'm so glad they did. By the way, shout out to everybody who has been talking us up on Reddit. That is big news.
Thank you so much, everybody.
I'm 24 from Chicago.
Ooh, Shy City represent.
That's right.
From Quebec City to another city I love. This one I actually haven't been to, so I'm a little bit of a poser.
Chicago's one of my places in America I really want to go to.
Chicago is like, it's in the top 3 of places I want to visit in the world. So
Cool.
Gotta love Chicago.
And grew up with Arthur. It was always my favorite show. I'm stoked to have come across other like-minded people. So are we. I've listened to every episode so far. I especially love the latest Double Gee, as you were talking about the episode with Mr. Ratburn's sister. I was seriously just thinking of how we were taught the multiplication tables in elementary school, but it was just rote memorization. It really dawned on me that yes, back then I could tell you that 8 times 7 equals 56, but I wouldn't have been able to tell you why 8 times 7 equals equals 56. I don't know. I thought it was funny. Well, there you go, Lucas. You get a little bit of credence to your theory.
Getting a little philosophical about education theory on the Elwood City Limits podcast.
Also, as far as the teddy bears you guys were discussing, my go-to is actually my Arthur doll. I had both the one in the yellow sweater and blue jeans and one that wears his blue pajamas. I still have them. Okay, well, that's all. Just want to let you know that you guys are awesome, and that's Hannah. Thank you, everybody, for the emails. Want to make sure that we got those out there. Oh, also, one more thing. We got a message on Tumblr that I really wanted to share with you real quick. It's from Let's Talk Cartoons. So remember a couple of episodes ago when DW got lost in the mall, and there was a thing about earrings turning your ears green, and we thought, so we thought maybe that was an urban legend. But they said the thing about earrings will turn your ears green is actually kind of an old school concept from back when they didn't have hypoallergenic silver. Basically, if you got some really cheap ass silver earrings, they would be cut with copper, which would make your ears turn green. So I guess Emily got some really cheap knockoff earrings or something. So there you go. Learning something here on Elwood City Limits. Thank you, Let's Talk Cartoons.
Yeah, very educational. I wonder if they were still doing that in the 90s or if it's even kind of a more antiquated thing from when the writers were kids.
I wonder. That's a good question. I'd have to look into that further. Thank you, everybody, for the emails and the Tumblr questions. Of course, you can find us through Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, and through email. We've spoken enough at this point, and let's get to the ECL extras. I just want to note here that a couple of these, since these were recorded off the air of the podcast, have a bit of strong language. So, kids, if you're underage and you listen to our podcast, you've heard these before. You've heard these before in school. I just want to tell you that if your parents are in the room, if you listen with your parents, hi parents, we don't approve of your children listening to swear words, not ours. They learn it on the school grounds, and then they learn how to use it better from listening to us. So teach them what the swear words are, then come back and we'll fill in the cultural context.
Are you okay, Will? See, he's already on island time, ladies and gentlemen. He's getting ready to be wasted away in Margaritaville.
And that's why I don't do the intros. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is a bit of strong language in these ones. If that doesn't offend you, then keep on listening for some Elwood City Limits extras, and we will be back next week. Again, the episodes are I'm a Poet and the Scare Your Pants Off Club. We'll see you then.
Cheeseburger in Paradise. I'm running out of Jimmy Buffett songs to reference.
Good. I miss video games. I miss my mom. I miss video games. I miss my mom.
Electro 2. Oh yeah. What was the guy called? The male character in Teen Girl Squad? Not the one they had a crush on. The one they didn't like.
Brett Bretterson. Tompkins. Peas, Momkins.
God, I gotta go back and watch all those.
Okay, so one of the funniest things that I could barely ever get out because it makes me laugh so much is when it's the little teen girl squad and they're in preschool or something, and it's just oh yeah, well my house has 100 bathrooms. Don't you mean your mom's house? Don't you mean one bathroom? No, it's my house. It's 100 bathrooms. Shut it off.
I was reading an article, I think it was either last week or the week before.
Oh my God!
About a retrospective on Homestar Runner.
Yes, I think the oral history.
Yeah. Homestar Runner, it's such a pure form of comedy. I hold Homestar Runner and MST3K in very similar regards because MST3K less so in terms of being clean, but Homestar Runner is pure snarky humor, but it's totally PG and clean.
Yeah.
And I just find it so hilarious. So many of the jokes in Homestar Runner I think about all the time. Strong Bad sleeping on his couch, just naming random Super Nintendo games. Oh, Axe Razor. Oh, Contra Super C. That's the funniest thing in the world to me.
Man, you guys check this Arthur episode?
Oh man,
Wow.
So I'm Will Young, and I accidentally watched the film Arthur and the Invisibles and then I watched the film Arthur starring Russell Brand, and that's a really bad movie.
That's a truly horrible remake.
Sorry. Keep going, Evan.
It's a truly horrible remake that I think is embarrassing to cinema as a whole, and it's embarrassing to Russell Brand's career even. It's embarrassing.
I fucking hate Russell Brand so much.
actually
People like sharing that video of him talking about politics, like he uses big words.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, Russell Brand's so smart. If you actually listen to what he's saying, like he's not saying anything unique or insightful.
Right.
He's just being like, oh, I don't vote. Why would you vote? Like, fuck off, Russell.
I don't really like him for his political views, but I like him just as a personality. I think he's funny. He's
I'll
very
also
quick.
I'll
Sometimes
never
he has like really quick jokes. Like,
I'll never forgive what he did to Katy Perry.
oh my god.
My girlfriend used to cry every time in that Katy Perry documentary.
What did he do?
He broke up with her. Are you kidding me?
They were getting
in that Katy Perry tour documentary. There's a part where she's like crying because Russell Brand broke up with her. Yep. Savage. I really should watch the movie. What's that fucking movie called? Tales from the Hood. Have you ever heard of Tales from the Hood?
No.
I feel like that whole movie fits my aesthetic perfectly because like my favorite thing in the world is in the Up in Smoke tour when the giant skull comes from the ceiling and asks if anybody's smoking that endo. Do you have any smoke? It's like this skull. And it's like, I love that like semi-supernatural West Coast shit. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, how's it going? Hey.
Evan, what'd you have for breakfast this morning?
Oh, I'll tell you, I had a sausage biscuit.
Here, get some.
My man with the Tims every morning.
Oh man, that's my terrible routine.
Oh, what's your KDR right now? What's your Tim roll up the rim KDR?
0-2.
0-2. Yeah. I'm having my best month ever right now. I'm 1-3, which doesn't sound that good.
Yeah,
but usually I'm 0-6 by now at this point.
I have really bad luck with it. I made that a bit, like just how bad my luck is with it, and then I'm going 0-2.
Oh no, I'm so happy about my 1-3. I've never had this good of people. People on Facebook, these white girls playing like they're 3-3. Like fuck off. Come on. 2000 is when it came out, so nobody ever talks about it.
Oh, it wasn't like.
It wasn't a big hit or anything.
Oh, but it wasn't like a WWE thing.
No, it was just like The Rock. This was like 2000. Would that have been pre-Scorpion King?
Right.
I'm not sure. But it's pretty good. It's all about Wyclef Jean's explaining why he should be let into the club, and The Rock is explaining that it doesn't matter how many fresh Bentleys you bought, or it doesn't matter how many Grammys you have. And then there's a point in the video where Wyclef Jean gets into an altercation with the gentleman that he accidentally stole his girl, but then The Rock comes and backs him up, and he lays the smack down, does the full look up into the sky, the whole 9 yards.
So that was peak Rock popularity, wasn't it?
No, I would say now it was peak Rock popularity. He's the highest paid male actor in Hollywood right now.
I guess I should say maybe I mean to say peak Rock overness.
Sure.
In terms.
You know
of
what? I'll
WWF.
actually correct myself. That was peak Rock popularity.
This
right
is
now
peak
we're living in peak Dwayne
Johnson.
Johnson popularity. Dwayne.
Dwayne.
And then in the recommended videos for that, I saw a video I hadn't seen in a very long time. Gravel Pit by the Wu-Tang Clan. Have you ever seen the music video for Gravel Pit by the Wu-Tang Clan?
No, I haven't.
The Wu-Tang Clan gets into an elevator, and they press all the buttons at once because they argue about which floor they have to go to, and then the Method Man accidentally presses the button for 20,000 BC. And the Wu-Tang Clan go back into time, and they're in a literal gravel pit with all these really, really awful CGI late 90s dinosaurs.
I think I've heard you talk about this before, but yeah, I've never seen
And
this.
they're all dressed like they're in that live-action Flintstones movie. It is amazing. Everybody has alternate old-timey names. So, for instance, Ghostface Killah is no longer Ghostface Killah. He's Bobby Boulders. And they show it in the subtitles. It's some special stuff. I implore you to look it up.
Okay, Gravel Pit. Got it. All right.
Okada was quoted as saying afterwards, he said, "It is the first wrestling match in my career where I thought I was going to die." Yeah.
Some crazy bump or something.
Yes, a very, very crazy bump.
I read into the winners, but for me, I'm most interested in what's happening in between. So that doesn't really ruin the experience too much for me.
Did you hear about New Year's Dash at all? Because New Year's Dash,
Yes.
like Dave Meltzer says, Wrestle Kingdom's where all the good matches happen, and then New Year's Dash is where all the big angles to set up the rest of the year.
New Year's Dash is the Raw after
Exactly.
WrestleMania. No, yeah, I did, and that was. I mean, people have been calling that for a while, but all the same, that's,
I'm a huge Minoru Suzuki fan, but I haven't followed his Noah, not enough to follow him to Noah. So I'm very excited to have him back.
I already had some good title matches in Noah. People like kind of follow. We're just like, yeah, Suzuki-gun's getting a little tired, even like in Noah, because of course it was just constant. So hopefully this will be injecting new life into the kind of. I mean, sometimes I wonder if we're running the course of the stable warfare thing.
Oh, with
Well, I should say
LIJ is so fresh.
Oh, I should say that. Well, actually, really, the biggest problem I have is with the Bullet Club and how incredibly stale they are, versus something like LIJ, which has not run its course yet. It is still very hot.
And they've totally preceded the Bullet Club in terms of most
popular.
Well, not only most popular, but they have all the belts. So like they kayfabe have superseded them.
Yeah, you're right.
But also
they did until New Year's Dash.
Oh, who?
It was
It was the 6-man.
No, yeah, it was 6-man. It was Tanahashi, Nakanishi, and Taguchi. It's like this random 6-man. It's like kind of wish
that ruins the story a little bit.
I kind of wish they could have kept them.
And also their merch is like selling like crazy.
Yeah, for
I love it. I used to hate Naito. I used to be one of those guys where like I just didn't like it. Like as good of a wrestler as he was, and as solid as fundamentals are.
You hated the Stardust Genius Naito.
Yeah. Smiley, like I'm gonna do some flips.
No, there wasn't much to him. Like even me, who's like very forgiving of kind of white meat baby faces, like there was just nothing there to him. His matches weren't particularly compelling.
But his new character is brilliant. It is so original and unique, and it's one of those things where like a truly great wrestler, aside like I think the most important component of a wrestler is charisma, because you could be a terrible worker, and if you have charisma, I still want to see you, or you could be a terrible promo. And if you still like, I think charisma is the thing that defeats all. Yeah. And it's what sells tickets. The little things that Naito does, like the tiny little mannerisms, are so brilliant. Like they're so like you look at it and you're like, oh my god, like this is like how you become like a massive star. It's the little things he does, and then there's the big things like throwing the belt in the air and he yawns on his way in.
It's crazy that he had it in him because and for me. It's awesome because it's a character that makes sense to me because it was kind of a middling tag team wrestler who then became like the next up and coming, the Stardust Genius. Like a few years ago, he had the match at Wrestle Kingdom with Muta, where it's like he lost, but it was still like he is on the same level as the great as Keiji Muto, and then gave him everything. We gave him the G1, we gave him like New Japan Cup, all this kind of stuff.
They tried to give him the main event,
and then it's just like it just didn't take, and then like the good guy who was pushed this far was eventually like the gifted kid in elementary school. Then he gets into high school and he's like, fuck this. Like he's so talented, but then he just stops caring and he becomes an underachiever, and that's when he goes even further because he doesn't care about pleasing people anymore. I think it's awesome, and it's such a cool character. It's so relatable, and it's interesting to see how, because I've seen the character kind of compared in a way to Steve Austin, because especially the way he's very critical of Kidani and the way that New Japan is run, and it's very interesting to see how the Japanese audience is responding to what their version of a Stone Cold character would be.
Yeah, he's super over.
It's not as in your face as like a late '90s Stone Cold was. It's more like quiet, but like quiet, reserved, but also very like comes across as lazy. Lazy but talented.
It's subtle. It's a really subtle thing, but also there's a cool factor to like the group as a whole.
Oh, LIJ is so cool.
They look like they jumped out of Let It Die, like Sonata with the mohawk and the baseball bat.
Evil looks like Uncle Death.
Well, yeah, quite literally, I guess.
Yeah, it's awesome.
The Bushi fan club
and Takahashi fits in perfectly well. I thought that was a little out of left field, but it's like he's also kind of an oddball, and I think that works really well. And just up against like the Bullet Club, who is as stale as you can get, in my opinion.
But with the exception of the Elite, I agree with you. I think the Elite. I still recognize that I have a much higher tolerance than most, but I still get a kick out of the Young Bucks friggin' hijinks coming to the ring with the PWG belt, the ROH belt, the junior tag belts, and then their own custom super kick belts, talking about how they want to fight Matt Hardy. I still get a little kick out of them.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Like I'm a fan of Kenny Omega, and like the Bucks, I enjoy hating them. So they're doing a good job as heels, and I realize that they're like incredibly successful. So I think that they're doing that right.
They'll be the first to tell you.
But it makes sense though. It's like they are the ultimate. Like I respect them for how well they're able to sell their brand.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Like they were doing basically broken Matt Hardy for years before Matt Hardy was kind of caught in a fire with that.
That's a good way of putting it. I never thought
Not in
about
terms
that.
of gimmick, and maybe it's just like.
I know what you're saying though.
But they're ubiquitous across all independent wrestling, just as broken Matt Hardy was in 2016. Or the latter half of 2016.
But also in the way that they're able to gimmick everything.
Yes.
Like everything they do, the second like the genius of Matt Hardy is that like one of the big problems WWE has on a big scale is that when the audience responds to something, they plant their feet and they go, "You got to do it our way." Remember when the Cesaro section first started, and they're like, "Shh," or like just like they'd be like. If something was working with someone, they would try to transfer it to someone else. A big example of that is like the Yes Chance, and when they tried to give it to Sheamus from Daniel Bryan by having him beaten.
And then Big Show.
And, oh my goodness! But so what Broken Matt Hardy and the Young Bucks are good at doing, almost to a fault, because they kind of drive it into a ground to a point, is that when the audience responds to something, they capitalize on that as much as they can.
Well, and the thing is that I can't really blame them too much for that, because it's just like it hits its natural peak. Like it's a thing where you have to constantly evolve it, and usually when you have something like a gimmick like those, it's about getting them bigger and bigger and bigger, and then they get too big, and then it's like, where do you go from there? You either have to end it, or if you don't want to or are unwilling to, like you keep going, and it just kind of naturally peters out, as all things do. So, I mean, the Young Bucks for me, I'm much happier with them in the role that they are, like, because I remember a few years ago, like, and this is more than a few years ago, but when they were like the babyface flippy tag team, and I thought that they sucked, and then it's like, okay, they're heels, and I'm like, okay, I like hating them. They're like the Revival. It's like I recognize that they're very talented, but they're always put against people that I would rather see win, and I like based on their personalities, I'm incredibly willing to hate them.
That's such an interesting comparison too.
Well,
but I understand totally what you mean. I just think it's a fun juxtaposition because the Revival are sort of the antithesis of everything the Young Bucks stand for.
And it's like I respect them because I don't like them, if it makes sense. Because there are other heels that are like, you know, that have the Kevin Owens problem, where it's like no matter how heelish they are, people will cheer them.
Or even LIJ, even though they're sort of supposed to be gray area. He's not really a babyface or a heel.
They're cool heels.
But they're like the ultimate cool heels. Like everybody loves LIJ.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, you ready?
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
I've been meaning to talk to you, and I've been talking. Are you in a big rush today? I know it's kind of late for you, probably.
Not really.
I just wanted to talk to you.
I have stuff to do at home when I get back there, so you know, but nothing time sensitive.
I just wanted to speak to you really quickly about. Me and Chris have been talking about this nonstop about what you think is going to happen with the Royal Rumble. It has been the most interesting one in many years, I think, because usually their direction is extremely apparent. It's going to be one of two guys, right? And this is one of the first times I think it could be one of like 3 or 4 or 5 guys.
There's a lot of good outside choice. There's a lot of good outside picks that are. I think the good thing, and probably the thing that they've learned from the last couple of Rumbles, is that they've built in a lot of reasonable doubt, which a lot of the past couple of years
had none.
No, and really, like there was a botch spot comic that I was reading, and it was like about excitement for the Rumble, and it was like these two guys on the couch being like, "Oh yeah, what if like Finn comes back, or what if this guy comes up from NXT, or like Ty Dillinger, all this sort of stuff," and then it's like this panel of the last like 5 years of Rumble winners, and it was like Sheamus, Cena, Triple H, Reigns. I forget who I'm missing in there, but
There was
it's just
that time Batista won.
Batista, and just like, oh right, the Rumble builds up our expectations only to let them down year after year.
But this time, like, I've been trying to think like Vince, because you gotta, and there's still plenty of options if you think the way Vince thinks, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's either gonna be like Braun Strowman, The Undertaker, Goldberg, or Brock, even though those less so because there's booking reasons. But like, it's one of those things, and even that in itself is interesting. Or even Triple H or whomever. Like,
I guess
there's multiple options as opposed to one clear option.
I guess that's kind of the metagame that people who have been fans for a long time have to play, because it's like, my friend is going on about a year of watching wrestling regularly. Like, I kind of got him into it after the Rumble last year, and so it kind of took a while to explain to him of like, he had all these things of like, this is where they could go, and like, it seems like they're going here, and it's like, yes, but the real metagame is not thinking about what makes sense. It's
Exactly.
It's thinking about what they want, which doesn't always make sense, which is the most infuriating thing. Like, Chris asked me this when I was hanging out with him a couple nights ago, and like, he does kind of ask me like, what do you think is going to happen with this? Honestly, like, not even, I know that this isn't fantasy booking, but like, even like predictions and stuff is not really an area of conversation that I like to have too much, because a lot of times it's like, I can see what could be happening. Usually it won't. And usually what does happen is something that kind of slips in between the cracks and is like, oh, I didn't predict that, kind of because I never wanted that sort of thing. And I feel like it leads to disappointment sometimes. So, I only have a couple of feelings about what might happen. Like, a lot of my predictions have been like, I think Dillinger's probably in at 10. Or
The Miz is in at 10.
So that's what my friend said. He said The Miz at number 10 and then Dillinger at 11. I'm like, yeah.
Or Dillinger's not in the Rumble and the Miz is at 10 and he gets all the heat.
Oh yeah, that could.
I think if Dillinger isn't 10, that's what they're going to do. Either that or they're insane and they'll put a baby face at 10 because I guess they're idiots.
That's the thing, is that not to the level of like, so WWE just uploaded the 2015 Rumble in full. They've been uploading a couple of like full-length Rumble matches on their YouTube, and my buddy was watching it today and kind of giving me his thoughts as it was going on, and just reminded me of like 15, when Bryan went out and then the match just everybody totally turned on it. I think that Dillinger, if they did a bait and switch and then like he never appeared, I think not at the level of Daniel Bryan, but I think it would have the possibility of ruining the match for some people because they love to do this. I'm making the 10 symbol. They love to do the 10 thing. So they're going to keep doing it. And I'm just like, might as well just put him in there. I mean, the only other thing he's got going on is a match with Eric Young on Saturday, and it's like all you need to do is have him win, or well, I guess you could have him lose too, but whatever, and then just put him on the main roster because like, or you know what? You don't have to put him on the main roster because I remember the year that Rusev was in, I don't think he went to the main roster right after that.
No, I don't know. But the problem is, Will, what you're saying makes too much sense.
Exactly.
I think Dave made a good point, and this will be the last thing I say about this, is that like in past years, like I said, there's really been only a few directions that made sense, or a few people in the Rumble that people are interested in. And there's been a lot of filler in the last 4 years of Rumbles where it's like, okay, so like Bray Wyatt and one of the New Day and like an Uso are in the ring. Like, none of these people are winning. Let's wait for a star to show up. Sure. And this is one of the first years in a while where if they space out the booking properly, they can have people engaged the entire Rumble.
Yep.
You know, Braun Strowman, for no matter what.
Braun Strowman,
no matter how I feel about him, There's a big likelihood he might win the Rumble.
He's a heavy favorite.
Considering the way Vince books. And so, like, when he's in, you're paying attention. What's happening with Braun Strowman? The same thing goes with whatever Brock and Goldberg touch, that's, like, something you kind of want to pay attention to and the way they're booked within the Rumble. And then there's, of course, Samoa Joe could make an appearance, probably not, but, like, he could show up and do something or, you know... Then now I'm starting to get into the pie in the sky stuff that probably won't happen. But what I'm saying is it'll be engaging in a way that it hasn't before. I'm of the opinion that I think Undertaker will probably win.
Okay.
That makes the most sense considering that I am assuming Reigns wins his match and I'm assuming John Cena wins his match. And so they need someone to challenge for one of those titles going into WrestleMania.
Okay.
But Goldberg and Brock are facing each other at WrestleMania no matter what, so I don't know. So I don't think one of them will win. But
I think that Undertaker pick is pretty close to the money. If I mean, for fans, the other guesses that could be made, like I'm kind of inclined to kind of do that myself. It's a pretty safe bet. The only other couple of things that I'm willing to say are like, well, I was pretty seriously thinking that. Balor was going to return, but I saw the news thing yesterday of like they're just kind of scoping him out now to see if he can go back in the ring. So I don't know if that's like a red herring or I don't know what that is, but it's just like now it's not as safe a bet as I thought it was.
I don't think he will.
Yeah, I mean it's just kind of I think there's just as good of a chance of Joe being in the Rumble just of how much of a non-factor he's been on NXT for like the last month. I think that's very strong. The last thing I'll say is that you're right. You do make a lot of good points about like kind of who could realistically win. Every year, I kind of like to take note of somebody that I think could win and would make a lot of sense. And there is one pick that I think not only, I mean, it makes sense in the sense that we care about of that, it makes story sense, it makes character sense, but I also think it would make financial sense, and it would make sense for kind of future-proofing the company, and that's the New Day.
Like a member from it?
Because they announced a couple weeks ago on Raw, they were just like, we're all going to be in the Royal Rumble, and it's just like it's going to be every man for himself, except for us, because we are all challenging for the title. And so they implied the fact that the Freebird rule they use with the tag titles they're going to use for the singles title, which is what I wanted the Shield to do 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's like New Day are your biggest one of your biggest selling merch movers.
Yeah.
They are popular with every demographic, and you need let's just say, I mean, I don't think this is going to happen, but let's just say you want Owens to keep the title until Mania. There's your babyface challengers.
Sure, I think that's a great idea. I think you're a better booker.
I'm not committing. I'm not committing to it happening because I don't think it will.
I don't think it will either.
But when one of them is in the ring,
it's interesting.
That's what that's I could see one of them, probably Big E, going to the Final Four.
Ooh,
but I don't think beyond that.
Big E is big. It's right in his name.
Mm-hmm. Bigatore.
I think. That's another thing that puts against Balor, even if it did return, is he's not that big. I was talking to my friend about this. He was like, "Oh, Jericho's gonna win because then he's gonna face Kevin Owens at WrestleMania." And I said, "Well, first of all, Kevin Owens is losing his match.
Yeah, that's most likely.
And second of all, Jericho's he's not tall enough. You gotta think like Vince." Who's big? Braun Strowman. The Undertaker.
Although if it were up to me, and this will absolutely not happen, it's just like if it were up to me, I would give Reigns the title, turn him the next night, and make him the heel champion for the New Day to face.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Because who wouldn't like that program? Now you can boo Roman Reigns, and the New Day's going to style on him for 2 months.
I would love that program. They're never going to turn
No.
Never.
No.
If I was picking, I'd probably have Samoa Joe win, or I'd have, if I was booking, I'd, pay the money, get Kenny Omega in. He's making his announcement today.
That's right.
His announcement that he's going to stay in Japan probably.
In like an hour or something. Yeah.
Anyway, we've talked for 12 minutes about wrestling, so let's get to the show. I did want to talk to you about that, though, because we've kind of passed each other in the halls these past few days. I didn't get a chance to really pick your brain about it.
Well, thank you.
I love talking about it.
Well, thank you for asking.
Are you excited to see Goldberg gain a championship opportunity at WrestleMania? What is it called? The Ultimate Thrill Ride.
The Ultimate Thrill Ride.
Hopefully he will not be sent to a local medical facility.
Are you like 2000 Shivani or something?
No, I'm trying to use all of the double speak that they used lately, where it's like Randy Orton has a crucifix because we can't say crucifix on PD.
Is that why they said it?
Yeah, so Brian Alvarez was Googling this because he thought you said Randy Orton just messed it up.
Yeah.
And then on the front page of WWE.com, it's like Randy Orton has a crucifix. And so Brian Alvarez was like, what the fuck? So he Googled it. It doesn't exist. Like, crucifix isn't a term.
Right.
Like, WWE just made it up because they don't want to say crucifix on PG television.
Well, and because it's not a crucifix, because a crucifix has like an actual figure of Christ on it.
But there's a crucifix is not a name for that. Like,
No, exactly. I thought you just screwed up saying crucifix.
but also, another thing was back in the Attitude Era, whenever The Undertaker had stuff, they would call it a symbol.
A symbol.
Like,
The Undertaker symbol.
That symbol. So it's just interesting that Randy Orton has a crucifix for he broke the law to gain his championship opportunity, because they never say title match, they say a championship opportunity.
That's right.
Also, Brian Alvarez does this voice where he pretends to be Dasha or Charlie or one of the girls, or he thinks they're robots.
Right.
And so he'll be like, Dean Ambrose, what did you think about, like, he, like, really, really hates on their backstage interviewers.
Yeah, that I'm aware of.
They're often winners of Geek of the Week.
Hello everyone. This is Will Young of the noted podcast Elwood City Limits, which you are currently listening to. Thank you very much for joining me here today. Hope you're well. I'm doing well. We are just recording this after last week's episode. Lucas has gone home. He had a very, very long day, so I didn't want to keep him longer than I had to. Now, this week, since I am currently on vacation, in fact, right now I'm probably in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, on a bit of a road trip to see my dad. So since this is going to be publishing remotely, fingers crossed, hopefully, maybe a little late, I don't know, we'll just have to wait and see. This is going to be going up, and this is our latest collection of Elwood City Limits extras. In case you've never listened to one of these, this is a short collection of some of the stuff that we talk to before the microphones start rolling, before the cameras roll. Some extra B-roll of just the conversations Lucas and I like to have to catch up before we start recording an episode in earnest. So I will say right now that these are not exactly filtered for content. Some of them may have some harsh language, some harder language than we like to use on the normal podcast episodes. So please note that. We may get into some topics. I can't exactly remember what is on this one. It's going to be a little bit of a surprise for me as it is for you. So we're going to have to wait and see. They could range in anything from, I don't know, we've talked about sports, professional wrestling, television, movies, music, all that sort of stuff, and everything in between, everything that we like to get up to. So if you want to know a little bit more about us, these extra collections are perfect for that. And I will be back after the extras, and I will be giving you a little bit of an update on what you can expect in the next couple of weeks. So enjoy the third collection of ECL Extras. Cleaned it out, and it was just, at the end, I was just like going through message after message from like December, January, February.
I see. Where's the weather line? Where is it?
No, it was even just innocuous stuff, just like, lost dog notice here, last seen, skip. Boil water notice from January, skip. And it was like 27 messages.
And then you accidentally tuned into a Russian number station, and they were like, 4, Dechnya, 5, Echo, beep, beep, beep. And you were like, skip. I don't want to get involved with that.
7, 5, 9, 1, 8, 20, 18, 7. what's funny is you ever see that YouTube video that claims to have the real recording of hell, what hell sounds like?
No.
It's like this kind of spoopy creepypasta video where it's just like, miners in Chile were digging, and then they put a
found
mic.
hell?
Yeah, they dug a well that was so deep they couldn't go down it, so they put a microphone down there, see if they could record sound. It's all this like, it's like, this is what hell sounds like. I'm like, yeah, hell is at the Earth's core, didn't you know?
Why is it always Chilean miners?
I don't know.
They're either getting stuck or they're finding hell. They can't catch a break.
It may not have been Chile, but I'm pretty sure it was somewhere in South America because I'm a horrid racist.
I had porridge this morning, like actual porridge from the UK. I went down to Pete's Frutique. It's called Today's Breck or Ready Breck, B-R-E-K.
How much did that cost you if it was from Pete's Frutique?
Well, it was a single pound, but it came to $4 Canadian.
That's not that bad.
Even though it's in plain the Queen's English, the instructions are inscrutable. It says boil on the hob, which I assume is an oven, a stove top, but I couldn't tell you what the hob was, unless it was hanging out with Calvin.
You'll have to go to Urban Dictionary.
If there is a Urban Dictionary for the British slang, I'll have to ask Michael Caine.
That's how I looked up what Cheeky Nando's is today.
Oh yeah, Cheeky Nando's.
Mm-hmm.
My girlfriend, when she was in the UK, I told her she had to go to Nando's because it was cheeky, and I think her dad's girlfriend got food poisoning. So
fun at Nando's.
At Nando's,
Is Nando's like a chicken place?
it's like a chicken place. It's almost it's not really, but it's like a Swiss chalet equivalent. It's like
Okay.
it's like fast food chicken, but not like fried chicken, like chicken.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a specific type of like sweet spice chicken. Though.
I know they have a lot of different sauces.
But yeah, that's like it's not exactly the same, but it's like a Swiss chalet equivalent. It's big in the UK. You got to hang out with the lads and get some cheeky Nando's
Or something to that effect. I'm also to understand that Cheeky Nando's is something to make fun of foreigners.
Oh yeah?
Yes, it's. I
was unaware.
When someone like us asks what Cheeky Nando's is, then you have to explain it, but in the most regional British slang that you can muster.
It's like when I went to Boston with my friend Josh.
It's like asking what drop bear is.
I'm not familiar.
I think it's an Australian thing.
I went to Boston with my friend Josh, and we went to get the chowder, and I swear they put the most like Boston guy. They were like, "Oh, look at these like Canadians! Like, let's get Boston Tom out there." And he's like, "I can't do a Boston accent, so this story kind of falls apart." But it was like thick. It was like, "Oh, this guy just walked off the set with Ben Affleck and Casey." Like, he was laying it on hard. I'm not. You looking at me like you're waiting for me to attempt a Boston
you fucking
accent.
asshole! You're gonna get yourself some chowder.
Chata. Chata is like the only thing I can say.
Yeah,
Chata. Clam chata.
I'm not really confident in mine either.
Cut my life into pieces. Suffocation. No
I'm
breathing.
Don't. If I cut my arm bleeding. Cut my life into pieces. I reach my last resort. Like he just does the chorus again in the verses.
You hear about the Linkin Park beef? What's going on right now?
Oh, people need to let hybrid theory go. Which
I don't know how anyone could muster up the energy to care either way.
I mean I like early Linkin Park. It's bad, but I like it. It's just because it's a holdover from my high school years. It is really not very good at all, but at the same time, I'm not begrudging them for changing their sound because obviously they were more successful with it. They lost me, but who cares? So they can do whatever they want. But it makes me sad for the people who are just like, you should go back to hybrid theory. I'm just like, you never grew up.
I can't picture that person in my mind's eye. Like, do they exist?
What?
Is
Who?
there the guy who's like, go back to hybrid theory? Is that guy like
probably.
a real person?
He's probably like close to my age and like.
Liz wears a lot of 311 t-shirts.
Yeah. Wears like jerseys in public. I don't know.
Oh man, I'm trying to bring that back. If I had the money, I would wear all hockey jerseys, Kevin Smith style. Except actual teams. I think it's kind of whack and corny how Kevin Smith makes custom hockey jerseys.
I like the custom jerseys
with his own face on them. I think that's a little lame.
I like the custom jerseys.
I really want a Halifax Highlanders jersey from Goon.
Ooh.
It's the same. It's like really similar to the Oilers colors, but the Oilers jersey, classic Oilers jersey, is really cool. I feel like if I started wearing jerseys, then I would like weigh 300 pounds because they're so comfortable. And then I'm just like, and nobody knows that I'm fat, so I can just eat whatever I want. So I think it's a slippery slope. Also, they're really expensive.
My number one goal when I go to Vancouver is to find a Vancouver Grizzlies jersey. That's like numero uno, like MacGuffin. Like I need to find somewhere.
Just bring your mic up just a little bit.
A Vancouver Grizzlies jersey.
Vancouver, right. That's from our childhoods. I like slam dunks that take it to the hoop. My favorite play is the alley-oop.
What is that?
I like the pick and roll. I like the give and go because it's basketball. Bow wow. Let's go.
They're
playing basketball.
There you go.
We love that basketball.
Oh my goodness. I love basketball, Will. I'm a big fan. The NBA Finals are going on right now. It's going to be Warriors versus Cavs, round 3. The first time in NBA history, to my knowledge, the same two teams have reached each other in the NBA Finals is what it's looking like. So,
what about, you said the Cavs and the
Warriors.
The Warriors, Golden State Warriors. I hear a lot about them in the last couple of years.
They've done very well. They blew a 3-1 lead.
Yes, I remember that sign. I think it was like at last year's SummerSlam or something. Warriors blew a 3-1, 5-1.
It's almost like a wrestling storyline, though. It's very few times in Major League sports have you had such a rivalry that it's literally been two teams on top, as if they were Randy Orton and John Cena, two teams that beat everybody else, and then they're reaching each other in the WrestleMania, aka the NBA Finals. I don't want to jinx it because it's not all the way there yet, but it's looking like going to be Warriors Cavs 3. Who breaks? It's a 1-1 tie. Who breaks the streak?
The battle of the blue chips.
Exactly.
Check the OR. You like it so far? Check the OR. You like it so far?
Lemonade was a popular drink, and it still is. I do chops and stunts like I'm Bruce Willis.
Lay more chicks than Mother Goose.
Oh no!
I like Check the OR. That's a fun song. I like that was one of the things when I go back home and I'm just watching TV at my parents' place, which I don't watch TV anymore.
Yeah.
So the only thing that I can reliably rely on to like watch and be interested in is the Muchmusic video flow.
Heck yes!
Because sometimes it's new stuff and then sometimes it's old stuff
the 90s block.
Organized Rhyme. Tom Green's old rap group.
Let your backbone slide.
Yeah.
What's that guy's name? Oh, he spoke at our school. The success of Let Your Backbone Slide, he's now a motivational speaker, and he did a presentation at our community college. What's that guy's name? Maestro Fresh West.
Oh, that guy. Okay. Yes. He was. I think he was a CKDU guy as well.
Oh, really? I didn't know he was Halifax.
Maybe not. I might be conflating.
He's definitely Canadian.
All right.
It's definitely some CanCon.
All right, what'd you think of that? Hopefully you had some fun listening to some of our outtakes and B-roll here on the podcast. Will Young here, and of course I want to say all the best to you. Now, I just need to make something clear about the next couple of weeks. And by that I mean I'll be as general as possible because I don't want to speak out of turn or anything like that. Lucas and I, we are going through a little bit of personal upheaval, let's say. Not between him and I. We're all good. Lucas is having a little bit of a change to his life. So in order to accommodate that, we will be taking a short hiatus. So next week, if you don't see an episode in your feed, I apologize. But we want to give Lucas as much time as possible to accommodate and acclimatize to his new situation. And of course, we're going to have to figure out a new recording style because I just realized this actually. Last week's episode is going to be the last one that we record with these microphones in this studio. So after we get back to our normal routine, it may sound a little different, but that's all in the far-flung future. If you want to stay current and up to date
on updates that are coming for the podcast. I strongly recommend that you follow us on social media. We will be updating with every bit of information. We'll be letting you know when we're going to be recording new episodes and when those episodes will be coming. I promise we'll make the hiatus as short as possible, but it's again, to make sure we can accommodate both of our changing schedules and lives. So our social media platforms are facebook.com/Elwood City Limits. Give us a like over there. On Twitter, at ECL Podcast. Follow us there. You can also follow us on Tumblr, elwoodcitylimits.tumblr.com. You can send us an email at elwoodcitylimits@gmail.com. Now, keep in mind, we may not be responding to them here on the podcast for a couple of weeks. So if it's anything super important, I will try to reply to them as quickly as possible, any burning questions. Or if you want us to save them for the next podcast, we absolutely can do that too. Make sure that you let us know that. If you want to go through some old episodes in the meantime, you can do that on SoundCloud.com/Elwood City Limits, or you can subscribe to us on iTunes and do it on your Apple device. That's Elwood City Limits on iTunes. And please give us a rating and star review, if you please. It helps more people find us and know that we're actually doing something right. Okay, well, sorry to drop the hiatus thing on you. Again, we'll be making this as short as possible, and we will be in a bit of a new situation when you hear from us next. And it may sound a little different, but Elwood City Limits is far from done. Thank you for listening to this episode. My name's Will Young for Lucas Mancini. We will see you all next time. Stay strong, have great days ahead of you, and keep your chin up.